To provide us the student's perspective, please join me in welcoming Kiara, as well as some special guests from 96th Street Elementary School.
You can be a doctor. You can be a governor.
So are you going to tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the penguin? Yeah? All right.
The reason I like Gigi is because by playing we're learning, and we can do lots of different things like adding and subtracting and division and multiplication. Thank you.
By the way, these guys are all in the third grade class of 96th Street. Next we have, Emily Vasquez.
Hi, the reason I like Gigi is because you get to learn more, and the tablets are easier than using a mouse, because what if you click the wrong button and you have some issues?
Good job. So this is Kelvin Williams.
The reason why I like Gigi is because you're playing a game and you are also learning math. Who's ever thought of making a game where children are playing a game and learning math? I would love to meet the creator of Gigi.
You guys want to see Gigi? Gigi's daddy right here.
So ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the co-founder and COO of the Mind Institute. He is a neuroscientist, and he is celebrated by penguins worldwide for making Gigi a national hero. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Matthew Peterson.
Back when I was a grad student, I had this idea. I'm dyslexic, so I had a hard time learning when I was young because I didn't learn to read until I was in 5th grade. And I played video games. And video games, you don't need to learn, you don't need to read instructions to play video games. So I was like, why can't we use that to teach kids how to do things like math? And so I had this idea, and I was an engineering student, so I did a research project over the summer to create some games to teach math. And it was a summer research project. I got an A in it, but don't tell my professor that I'm still working on it 18 years later. Because, I thought it would be done in one summer, and then it was harder and harder, and it was like, I created some games that I thought I was going to win the Nobel Prize, I thought so, that teach place value, and we went out and tried them, and scores dropped in place value after playing this game. So I was like, oh, so it's not just like you come up with this great idea and then everything works. Some things don't work, and so it's been a long struggle of trying to figure out how to get an engaging experience where kids are actually building a deep understanding. And a lot of people think that, you do it by making learning math easier. And that's not true. We do it by making learning math harder. We bump up the challenge. And kids want to be challenged. You talk to these kids and they say, we like math because we get to do challenging stuff. And some of these, I heard, Nigel overheard one of these students say that they weren't just being challenged by the math content, but they were building their own challenges. They were building their own challenges, like he was saying, my highest number of puzzles solved in one session was 127 and 17 levels. I'm going to try to beat that. And so, they want to do things that are challenging. They want to try to achieve things that they didn't even know that they were able to achieve before. And so that's a big part of our success. You said that penguins everywhere appreciate ST Math, and it might not have turned out that way without. So our first, this is 95th Street School was just down the street, was the very first school to use ST Math for a full year curriculum. And so I was over there all the time working with the kids. And way back originally, my games, the main character was a kangaroo. And a lot of the kids would say, because the goal of all the games is to either build a bridge or fill in a hole to get the character across the screen. And it's math, so you have to answer it precisely. And so if you don't fill the hole all the way up, then the character won't go across. And the kids would be like, why can't the kangaroo just jump over that hole? I got it up pretty close, it was a kangaroo. And so this one little girl, she was pretty bossy, very adamant about that it shouldn't be a kangaroo. So I'm like, well, what should it be? And she said, probably something that doesn't jump. And then she could see I was maybe going to make another unfortunate mistake, so she added something to it. She goes, probably shouldn't fly either. So that helped me out, and penguins don't fly, and I don't think they're very good jumpers either. So I changed it over to a penguin, and that question went away. It was pretty obvious that this waddly bird that can't fly wouldn't try to attempt to go over even a little tiny gap in the ground, and so that worked a lot. So I've been working on this for 18 years, like I said, and we've achieved a lot of growth. We had only like 30 students way back then using the program. It was hard to get even other schools to even attempt to try to use the program. Now we're way over 500,000 students and growing rapidly and getting a lot of recognition. Our goal, our mission is to get every student proficient or advanced in math from preschool all the way through calculus. And we want every kid to take calculus and every student to be proficient in calculus. Not just able to find some derivatives and some integrals and things like that, but actually know what even that means and able to go out and solve problems. And not just able to solve problems, but really to go out and to use that knowledge to go out and tackle really difficult problems and solve the world's most challenging problems. That's what we're after. We're not there yet. We can't even get all kindergartners proficient in kindergarten math yet, but we're making a lot of progress. Recently, a WestEd study earlier this year did an analysis of schools in Los Angeles, and they found that right now we have an effect size of 0.41. What is considered a large effect size is of 0.2. So we're over double what is considered a large effect size. And so we are making a big impact. To get every single student in the US and eventually the world proficient in math, we have to get to a 0.8 effect size. And so we have a long ways to go, but we're on there. And I think some recent news that just came out last week is going to help propel us there. There's this group called the Business Roundtable in Washington, D.C., which is made up of 120 or 220, something like 120 or something like that, maybe 200, of the CEOs from the Fortune 500 companies like Exxon and Boeing, and I think maybe PricewaterhouseCoopers, and are on this Business Roundtable. And they did this rigorous process to find which organizations are having a big impact. And they started out with 100 different organizations, and they narrowed it down to 10, and they wanted to narrow it down to 4 organizations. And they just did a press release last week, and we were one of those 4 organizations that they said are proven to have a big impact on education. And so I think that's going to help propel us. And in this room, we have a lot of supporters. We have Hyundai, who you heard from, and PricewaterhouseCoopers, and we have other foundations like the Roth Family Foundation. And so a lot of supporters in here, and so we're really grateful to everybody. And so, who do I turn it over to now? All right.
Thank you.